We are on the 80th birthday of one Sam LaMancuso, and we have Sam LaMancuso in front of us. Were you surprised tonight?
I was shocked to death.
Yeah.
I had no idea this is all going on, and I'm here every day.
Yeah. Well, some people obviously think so highly of you that they came great distances, and I think of guys like Jim Scott and Tom Dill.
Oh, God, it's amazing.
Yeah. When I say Sam LaMancuso, Jim Polaro's...
Yeah, I remember when he had hair. Well, the picture is so deceiving because he didn't have any hair in that picture either. See?
Yeah.
And you know how it goes. I mean, you try to remember old things.
Sammy LaMancuso, my daughter used to walk around the house when she was in her, I would say 6 or 7 years old. And she would just, all day long, she would say, Sammy LaMancuso, Sammy LaMancuso. And mother would say something to her, and she'd go do what she's supposed to do, and then pretty soon she's going, Sammy LaMancuso, Sammy LaMancuso. But I was telling Tom Dill on the way up here, in '68, I led the points. I was leading the points at state line at the end of the year, and I had to finish like 18th or something to win the point championship. And it was a 100-lap race. Blackmer was leading after 50 laps. Blackmer was leading, Tom was second, and I was third. And I knew that Tom Dill wasn't going to let Bobby or RJ win that race because they had been feuding all summer anyhow. And so I'm just riding in third, and they're running side by side. They're running each other pretty clean, but they're using up all the racetrack. And I'm running third, and I know there's no way Tom's going to let Ronnie win this. And all I had to do was contend with one of them when the time came. And we got the white flag. Ronnie was first, Tom was second, I was third. And coming out of 2, Tom turned Ronnie. And the last I seen of them, they were both headed for the flagpole. And I kind of rode them both off, and I run hard down the straightaway. And I dumped it in the corner, and just as I did, I felt Tom against my quarter panel, and he turned me around. And he went on and won the race, and I stalled the car, and everybody missed me except Sam. And Sam hit me so hard. He broke my car so bad, I couldn't get that other 100 feet. And I wound up not winning the point championship. And every time I think of Sam, I have to think of that. I'm sorry. That probably ain't a real cool story.
That's okay, Jim. What was his reputation as a driver, Floyd?
Sammy?
Yeah.
None of us had any in them days. We just got our first race car in them days was a 31 Chevrolet with the body cut off with a little wooden flatbed with a bedstead on the back of it for a roll bar. Mm-hmm. We used to tow it from Randolph to Leon on a rope. And when we'd stop on the way, take a break, have a picnic, drink a little lemonade, and go on up to swallow some dust. And that's what there was, a lot of dust.
Of how you, at one point, actually had Sam drive your car.
Oh, yeah. That was...
What was the story behind that? All that?
Well, it was I bought a car, and it wasn't a very good car, and it's all I could afford. I'd never drove a race car before in my life, and I started right out with a late model. I don't know what I was thinking, but that's what I did. But I was spinning out all the time. I was lucky if I could make a lap without spinning out, and I figured I was just learning. And then after a while, I began to think maybe it's the car, you know. One night, Sammy, I can't remember, I think his water pump blew up or something went bad in his car during a heat race. And that same night, I was starting on the pole for the feature, and I asked Sammy if he'd like to drive my car in the feature. Maybe he could drive my car and see if there's something wrong with the car, or is it all me? Well, I drove the car up there and lined it up on the pole, got out of it, walked away. Come to feature time, Sammy walked over, he got in it and went out there and won the feature. Well, I thought, oh boy, must be something wrong with me. It must be the car's perfect. He comes in and says, that's the only car I've ever driven I had to start turning the wheel in front of the flagman in order to make it around the turn. He says, "You're steering." He's got way, way, way too much play in it, you know. Well, to make a long story short, Sammy helped me get my car straightened out to handle. But the funny part about this is Len Briggs, one of the track owners, came over to me, and he was really mad, I'll tell you. He says, "Ken, you can't do that." He says, "I can't start a veteran on the pole." Well, I never really gave it a thought. I mean, I wasn't trying to pull a fast one. I wasn't worried about winning a feature. I just wanted somebody to drive my car and see if there was something wrong with the car, you know. I had no idea he was going to win the feature in my car, but I don't think Sammy did either. Somebody asked me one time if I ever got paid for that race, and no, I didn't. And I don't know if Sammy did. I'm beginning to wonder, maybe they were so mad they didn't pay anybody. I don't know, and I got to ask Sammy that question. I don't know.
Oh, that's right. We can resolve that today.
Yeah.
Well, what else does Sammy LaMancuso mean to Ken Shearer?
He was a good guy. I mean, everybody called him Slammin' Sammy. I never had any trouble with Slammin' Sammy. He wasn't Slammin' Sammy to me, you know. But no, he was a good guy to run with, and he was probably an instigator to me too, because being that I lived downstairs from him, every Saturday night I'd see him pull his race car out. This is before I bought a car, you know, and boy, I'd watch him pull that out and hook it up, and I thought, man, I'd love to do that, you know.
I know Sammy was always a good man. He never complained. You lined him up, and he was ready to go. And him and Joe Sonner won that big race there one night, and it was just terrific. You know, the local guys won it, and it was a super race.
Now, that was the team race?
Yeah.
How did that work, Marv?
Well, they run so many laps, and then they changed drivers, and cars would go out on the track, and as I remember it.
Me too. I'm glad to be still breathing.
Well, another thing, they all have remembrance of you, Tom, walking in and kind of moving them out of the way. I don't understand.
No.
That didn't happen, did it?
Oh, no. Maybe once or twice. Nice guy.
Nice guy?
Nice guy.
Well, that's nice, but there's got to be more to that.
We never had any serious difficulty. He ran good.
Yeah.
And he ran clean.
Did you find yourself ever in a situation where, well, what was Sam's reputation? As a driver, was just a...
Yeah, I think he always drove decent and never got pushy or tried to drive over him.
Well, coming from you, that's an amazing statement, Tom Bill.
Sammy was always a good guy to run with. You could always trust him behind you, or wherever. Sammy was a good, clean competitor.
Right.
And that's more you can say for a lot of them.
Some of them in the crowd, maybe?
Oh, yeah. I never held back any feelings for them guys. They all know, they all know that.
We may have heard that once or twice.
I both worked at Cousin Manuel Brothers Garage on Water Street after school. And Sam and I bought our first stock car together.
Oh, really?
We went to Sherman. We bought a 1935 Cadillac. We didn't have I had the license, I think, and I don't think Sam did. And we didn't have no license for the plate for the car, but we drove it home from Sherman. When we got close to Jamestown, we got a flat tire, and we drove the damn thing all the way home with a flat tire. We got it down. We worked for Cousin Manuel Brothers, and we had this big, heavy body on it. So Sam and I, we cut the body off with cut most of it off. And of course, in them days, the dashboard was wood. And we cut it, and then we went to races up on Big Tree Sugar Road that day. When we come back, the car had burned up, the wood caught fire. that was our first experience with a stock car.
Yep,
that was around 64 years ago.
Oh my.
I can't remember a bad incident with him. He was always in front of me most of the time. So well, you know how it goes.
Awfully kind, Jim.
Wow. Amazing.
Yeah. Well,
I
for
feel
you.
very honored, believe me.